Hello everyone, Aaron here. Welcome to my workshop. Today I'm going to be building a new workbench for my miter saw. So basically this is an old garage. I bought the property from my grandparents, so there's a lot of history in here, a lot of antiques as you can see, a lot of cleanup. Anyways, this past week I've been cleaning it up and trying to organize it and make it into a usable workspace. So first things first is I just got this new miter saw. So what I'd like to do is basically where this table, this temporary table is set up, I'd like to build a permanent workbench that'll have a indented groove for the miter saw with elevated work platforms on each side, and it's basically in line with the two garage doors. So if I want to bring in a long piece of lumber, I can slide it right in, place it on the workbench, and make my cuts. For tools, I'm going to use a handheld circular saw, a handheld jigsaw, my cordless drill, my new miter saw, and don't forget your measuring tape, pencil, and square. Okay, one challenge that I'm foreseeing with this is the floor. So as you can see, this is a very, very old floor. The concrete has been poured in different sections, different segments at once, and some areas are still actually gravel or dirt. So I put my level down. It is fairly level, but you can see there's lots of irregularities in the floor. So usually when I'm building something like this, it's really helpful to have a perfectly smooth, level concrete floor, but I'm just gonna have to try my best with this today. So I'm gonna start with the legs, which I actually, I picked up some 4x4. So this is gonna be a perfect example of how I wanna use this workbench. Bring in long pieces of wood like this and slide it right in. So the height of my workbench is gonna be 35 inches. So I'm gonna cut the legs to 34.5 inches because I've got a 1/2 inch plywood sheet that's gonna be for the countertop. So I'll take that into account. Now that I have the legs cut, I'm going to use 2x4 to cut out the framework for these elevated platforms. I'm not going to do a fancy joint, I'm just going to butt them together. So I'll first start by cutting my 36-inch length. Bloopers. So a lot of this 2x4 that I'm using here actually came out of an interior wall that I just removed. It was a temporary wall, so the boards were quite new and in good shape, so I figured I'd reuse them. Now I'll cut the side pieces. Okay, well a lot of people will probably make most of their cuts before they start building, but myself, I usually make cuts, build, make cuts as I go. So anyways, I have the 2x4s ready to make the top panel pieces, so I'm gonna put those together now. It's tricky to get everything perfectly square when I'm working on a table or on an uneven floor. But for this purposes, I think that we're pretty spot on. Okay, now that we got one done, I'm just gonna do the same process again and build the second side. Lumber is expensive now. I probably paid like 150 bucks. It's crazy how expensive lumber is right now. COVID, right? I was thinking what I'd do is I'm gonna have another 2x4 support around the bottom, about 4 inches off the ground. And on this one, I'd put a shelf top. So what I was thinking I might do is, since this is gonna be inside the 4x4s here, I'm gonna need to notch out the corners for the 4x4s. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the plywood on the top here. I'm gonna trace around where these need to go here and cut them out with a jigsaw. And that way I'll be able to fit it right in place. So what I need to do is actually connect both platform pieces. And how I'm gonna do that is I have 10-foot 2x4s that I'm gonna use in the front and back. And according to the proper measurements on the design, I'm gonna secure these in place for the right distance and spacing for my miter saw. I also need the 21-inch pieces here, just like I have on the top. Put those there. So now that we're getting the long bottom brace on, you can really see it taking shape and coming together. I bought a nice finished top for the top surface of the work platform. Now is the moment of truth for the bottom shelves. I'm going to see how my notch job worked and see how they fit in there. That's how it's supposed to work right there. Perfect. That should work great. Okay, so now that we've got this far, the next step is actually kind of a crucial step for the miter saw. So what we need to do now is actually install the shelf portion that holds the miter saw. And why this is important is because we need to get the height just right. We want there to be a smooth transition from the elevated portion of the platform over right onto the saw. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna actually measure the height of the saw, and we're gonna make sure that the drop is that measurement. So let's have a look. I'm going with 3 3/4 inch height for the miter saw. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure down from the edge of this 4x4 down, and from that point there, that needs to be 3 3/4 inch. Basically, I use that as the support location for the countertop, so that's really my reference point. You might have a little bit of play in some of these 2x4s based on how I was doing it today, but I'm gonna go by that, and I think we're gonna be pretty close. So when I attach this piece here, I'm only gonna attach each side with 1 screw for now. Just in case I have to do any fine tuning of the height adjustment for the miter saw, I'm just not gonna drive it in all the way. Just tack it on for now. The last piece of structural 2x4 I'm going to put in a brace across from here to here, which will support the sides of the piece of counter that holds the miter saw. Okay, so now we're basically ready to attach all the countertops. So I've got the 2 pieces for the outside wings done. So I'm going to attach those, and then I'm going to cut out the final piece for in here, and then that's it. There you have it. Everything's pretty much in place, ready to for the true moment of truth. All right, okay, so we got the whole thing together. It's in place. We got the miter saw in place. We can give it a little test here just to show. So you can see there, it looks good. Our board slides right into place. Perfect. So it's going to work out really well. I've got a piece of decking here, so this is exactly what I want to be able to use it for. Bring it in through the door like this, position it in place, boom, ready to go. So this is perfect, everything's lined up good. It's not a perfect workbench by any means, but for this it's very, very functional, very practical. Another little detail that I didn't really mention earlier is that there's plenty of space in the middle here. So the plan for the shop vac now is that it can be used as a dust collection bin. So you can put that in the middle. Fits right down in place. Feed the hose to the other side, and then that can connect right to your desk collection bag. So I'm really happy with it, and all in all that took us about 4 hours, so it's very well built, it's sturdy. All right everyone, thanks for watching. What do you think of the workbench? Is there anything you would have done differently? Do you like how I did it? Let us know in the comments. If you like videos like this and you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.